85 cameras and nobody got any footage? Don't make sense. Most protected airspace, that don't make sense. Most protected airspace, flying around for an hour. I don't get it. NORAD was scrambled and they were out to sea. They weren't scrambled to the right place. They were told to stand down. We'll say, what? So an art group was staying in the building for months. Neighbors complained about trucks pulling up all hours of the night, but before day shift started in the morning, trucks wouldn't be coming in and out anymore. So then, like idiots, these art groups that were staying in the building were so stupid to put pictures of themselves in the building, working in the building, on the building, around the building, under the building, that they took pictures and put on their website of them. But what's that in the background, you say? Boxes. Boxes of what, you say? Boxes and boxes and boxes and boxes and boxes of charge igniters or fuse igniters once it's translated to the part number. Fuse connectors for charges, for yes, bombs. Okay. And then, like idiots, these same art group morons weren't very smart, no. They camped out on top of one of their vans, and they camped out on top of one of the vans and got a great view the next morning from across the river in New Jersey. And they were filming and celebrating before celebrated at 8:45 in the morning, and then at 8:47 in the morning they were still celebrating. You know what I'm talking about. I'm just not going to say it. No. Okay. So now, that day, as it all unfolded, news had reported 4 white vans, 2 of which had a mural. Mural of what, you might say? 2 buildings and a kite flying next to it. Not a kite. Guess what that was? 2 of them. One was a truck and the other one was a smaller white van driving around. One was on the George Washington Bridge with explosives in the van. 2 men arrested. 3 men were stopped on King Street. It's between 6th and 7th. New York City. They were arrested. We never heard anything about them ever again. It was reported on the news, but then we never heard about it again. Fact. Cover up. So sad. What they do to us, so sad. The owner of the building and the surrounding plazas and such, several buildings in fact, did not show to work that day. Neither did his family that worked in the buildings as well. They all didn't show to work, but they were there every day. They knew not to go to work that day. Oh, and those white vans, the guys that got arrested there? Never heard about them ever again, but they did sleep over in jail that night. But they were released because their countries came to save them. In our country, well, our country, the good old US of A, is pretty much in bed with that other country, all because of their oil money. Now, I'm not pretending to be smart, very smart or anything, or educated, but I do know one thing. You can't lie. All these years, they've been lying to us about what happened that day. If you haven't figured it out already, I'm not going to say it. Okay? What else do we want to talk about? Oh, yeah, the $1 trillion cover-up. Trillions and trillions of dollars. A certain top dog was asked about the trillions of dollars that were missing. They're missing. Oh, they're missing. The next day was the day that it was all taken care of, because number one kite took out those offices that had part of that information that was going to prove that guy guilty of the trillions of dollars. Okay, so number one plane. So, said kite hit said offices that was, had all the paperwork and the research and such, and the proof, in other words, for that trillions of dollars that we're missing from the Oakland Raiders defense, let's just say. Maybe the Redskins defense. You follow along now? Ta-da-ta-ta. Oh my goodness. Kite number 2. Well, that looks mysteriously like...
1 mile, exit right.
Kite number 2 looks mysteriously different than what we're used to. Oh my goodness, it is not. Oh my God, it isn't. It is. It is not. Oh my God, it is. It looks military. Military. What's that? Oh, and kite number 2 hits officers also working on that same $1 trillion. What do you want to say? $1 trillion conspiracy. We'll just say no. It wasn't a conspiracy. Oh my goodness. Why does it look like they're about to... Oh my goodness! Never in the history.
1/4 mile, exit right. Hazard reported ahead.
Thank you. Oh. Alright, so obviously I'm talking about working at 7-Eleven. Never in the history of fires in buildings have they ever fallen down.
Keep right.
Well, what's that? 3 buildings fell that day? No, Christian. Only 2. Only 2 buildings fell. No, you're wrong. At 5 o'clock in the afternoon, they were told to pull World Trade 7. I said it. I said too much. And it came down as parallel as this. Straight down. Not all cattywampus and in parts. Straight down. Much like the brothers next door, 1 and 2. 110 stories. Oh, by the way, where'd all the rubble go? Because there was not one desk, file cabinet, couch, chairs. Nothing was found. It's all just rubble and dust. Oh, it pulverized. Okay. So some guy took lessons on how to fly. Couldn't even fly the little Cessna, but he was able to miraculously make these crazy moves and this crazy dive and fly parallel to a parking lot, go into the Pentagon, first floor. Hey, that hole doesn't look like a plane went in there. Oh, it's not wide enough. Oh, where's the wing marks? Hey, where's the plane? What's that? The voice data? What? Where's those black boxes? They can't find them. Where are they? Oh my God, this is crazy. Another coincidence, oh my Lord. Speaking of coincidences. Oh, we were able to overtake a plane and bring it down in Pennsylvania? And then some years later... Okay, so a few years ago, Cheney admits that he had that plane shot down that went down in Shanksville. He had it shot down. Rumsfeld admitted it too. It was shot down. So that whole let's roll thing, fabricated to make us feel good at the time. Oh, it feels good. Oh, they fought back. Oh, how proud. Listen, I'm not trying to piss you off. Delete me if you want. I just want you to know that we're being lied to. And it's sad. It's sad that they can't just tell us the truth. Why don't they tell us the truth, you say, Christian? Because they're all in bed with, what's going on. I'm not saying Dan Rather had anything to do with it, but his boss sure as hell did. Because they're all making money in the oil business. Shut up. Listen, I don't know the reasons why the media won't tell us, but they won't, okay? They shot down everything. Things that were reported on the news. Okay, so shot down in Shanksville. Now, I do sympathize with anyone that's related to anybody that got shamelessly killed that day. But in some way or form or another, your government's behind it. Why do you say that? Well, they had to go to war. They wanted to go to kill Saddam. Didn't you ever think, why are we going to kill Saddam if it was bin Laden? Oh, by the way, who's in jail for that now? Oh, they're all dead. They're all dead. No, they're not. Actually, they're not. 16 of them have taken them, the U.S. government, to court because they're still alive. And they want to know why their pictures are being dragged across with different names. Oh, you did? I didn't know that. That's because they don't tell you. The news don't tell you. Look, and all this stuff is on websites and YouTube. What else? Oh, miraculously. All right. So, miraculously, we lost 3 buildings in NYC. One of which that wasn't hit by anything, just had some small office fires. So we're supposed to believe that 3 buildings came straight down into a 3-story, 3 stories out of 110, 210 buildings. 3-story billow of trash. There were plenty of explosives in the basement, underneath 1 and 2 and 6 in the Marriott Hotel. There's plenty of proof of that too. Firefighters have said it. Policemen have said it. People that worked in the building, that were in the building, said that they heard explosives went off lobby and basement, sub-basements, parking lot all morning long until those matchsticks came down. It's horrible that they won't tell us this. Why won't they tell us this? I don't know. But, you know, it makes me mad. But anyway, okay, back to the Pentagon. All right, so this plane has been flying for about an hour. NORAD, the defense jets, they're on their way, but they're dispatched to the wrong place. They couldn't find, they were out to sea over New York City, and they were told to stand down about the Pentagon. Why? The best airspace in the world over Washington, and it was not protected. New York City as well, not protected. Why is that, you say? It's all about the government and the money, the trillions of dollars they didn't want to be responsible for. Speaking of trillions of dollars, there was millions of dollars in the World Trade Center basement in gold, locked up like a bank, you know, a vault, if you will. When they finally got down there, when they dug it out, the doors were open and the gold was gone. Oh, I suppose all the construction workers took it. Okay, so the Pentagon plane flies into the Pentagon miraculously, okay? But the size of the hole was not big enough for a plane to even fit in. And they found no plane parts. Don't say you did. Don't say they did. They found small plane parts. Yes. No voicemail report. Oh, wait a minute. In Shanksville and in New York City, they found a passport, didn't they? From one of the hijackers. Hijackers. Oh, they weren't even on the plane, they say. They're not even on the manifest. Oh, and doesn't every airport have a lot of cameras? Where is the footage of them walking through the airport? Okay, you've seen the footage of Muhammad Atta in Portland when he was on his way to Boston that morning with his comrade. But where are the other 17? Surely they were able to catch them on videotape somewhere. No. Because now, the reason why I say miraculously into the Pentagon is because in order to fly like that, I've watched a lot of videos, trust me. In order to fly parallel to the ground without landing and crashing into a first floor of a building, going 500 miles an hour, they said, 460 or whatever it was, that don't happen either. You can't get enough G-forces to fly that fast, that low. That's a fact. Oh, what's that? People made telephone calls on the plane? That don't happen either. The planes are going too fast and they're too high. Yes, maybe when they're low, under 10,000, 15,000, forget what it is, but you cannot make a call up high with a cell phone because cell phone towers hand off from one cell phone tower to the other, and it's proven that that's wrong. Sad. Okay. So in let's say, okay, Shanksville, they never found a plane, and they said went straight down into the ground because passengers said, let's roll, and they stormed it. That's what they told us. Oh boy, that felt good at the time, didn't it? We were like, oh my God, we're so proud of our guys, you know. United States, let's raise the flag. Man, I'm not against the United States, guys, I'm not. But I'm just pretty PO'd that they lied to us, and they have not told us the truth. All right? They've not told us the truth. It's depressing. So, like I said earlier, Cheney admitted that he had told them to shoot that down. So it was shot down. Rumsfeld backed it up in another interview years later. So it's really true that that plane was shot down in Shanksville. Okay. So, all right, yeah, I know, you think I'm a nut. What?
Mile, exit right.
But don't you think there was an awful lot of coincidences that day? Things that never happened before happened that day. Never before. Buildings fell to fires. Doesn't melt steel. No, it wasn't the jet fuel that melted it either, because the jet fuel burnt all off, probably burnt all off in the initial explosion. Oh, and by the way, did you see those planes melt right into the side of the buildings? Wow. Didn't find any airplane parts at the World Trade Center either. All right, so
0.1 miles, exit right.
So on Church Street in New York City, not only did they find a passport on Liberty Street, miraculously of Muhammad Atta or whatever, but they also found,
Exit right.
and it's true, it did come down, so it did come from a plane. So the planes do exist, I am saying, but it wasn't a passenger plane. It was a military plane, because they found an engine and it's been decoded and departed out with the part numbers and everything to come from a military plane. But they don't tell us that. Remember that landing gear they found a couple of years ago? Still landing gear to a military plane. But they don't tell you that. They don't want to tell you that. They don't want to be responsible for telling you that. You know, this is why Peter Jennings doesn't have a job anymore, you know, by the way? Because he was all over all this.
In 1 mile, exit right.
And you know, Jesse Ventura, Geraldo Rivera, Joe Rogan, Peter Corvée. Okay. So let's assume that that what they tell us really happened. Okay. Number one, who's in jail for it? Where's the investigation? Don't they usually put planes back together in a trailer? In a hangar, rather? To prove how it went down, or I'll tell you what. Okay, can't find the plane? Let's put the building back together. I want to see the beams where they exactly hit. How are you going to figure that out? Well, put it this way. There was no investigation into everything. Nobody's seen in jail because of it. Oh, and how come all of a sudden, when years later, when they finally caught Bin Laden, we were all excited, right, that morning? What happened? We respected his religion and dumped him in the water. Man, I don't know, man. It's just also hard to believe. That's more bullshit, man. Oh, dude. Alright, so no lie. There was a classmate of mine as I was going through pipe fitter school that was all about it. And after school, rather. And he Facebooked me all the time telling me to wake up and blah, blah. Those weird things that they say, conspiracy people. But I was so mad. Like, dude, shut up, man. That's not cool, man. 4,000 people died. But here it is all these years later. I've never told him that I should have listened to him then. And he's a Marine, too, by the way. There's all sorts of testimonies and such that there were bombs before the first plane hit. There was bombs going off in the basement. All the custodians of the World Trade Center had said it, and it testified to it, and it's a fact. Okay? Just because Fox or CNN or ABC or NBC or CBS don't tell you that, doesn't mean it didn't happen. So yeah, I'm pretty pissed off about this myself. What are we gonna do about it? There's nothing we can do. You know, it's not like we can go in front of the FBI offices and say, hell, you know, we want an investigation, we want someone arrested. No, not really, because, you know, there's been a few people that have stood up and done things, including family members of some of the deceased, that have come up murdered and or mysteriously died in the days that followed. I mean, in the days following their press conferences and such. Firefighters, in fact, police sergeants, lots of firefighters know what happened that day. Well, don't get me started on Giuliani. Oh, man. All right, so I apologize. Yeah, you're like, Christian, you're supposed to be funny, dude. You're not supposed to bring us down with this, man. Oh, my God, so heavy, dude. Why are you doing that? I'm sorry, right? I was just sometimes I think about it and I say, crap, man. Why do they do this to us? I think at this point they really can't tell us, because then all hell would break loose if they all of a sudden came out and said, hey, we've been lying to you all this time. All right, but what I want you to think about is, if it wasn't demolition, those buildings, all three of them, then how were there angle cuts already in on the beams when it came down? The beams that were laying to the side, the beams that were still standing, there were angle cuts, much like the way you would cut a tree when you want it to fall over one way. Same thing. It's really weird, isn't it? They're already there. And they brought it down with explosive charges. Thematite. Yeah. So thermite helped bring the buildings down. Now, how did thermite get buried in the building? Well, I already told you about the art group that was staying at the World Trade Center on the 91st and 92nd floor. That sound familiar? Well, all the employees in the building had complained about these smelly foreigners living in the building on the 91st and 92nd floor, trying to sell crappy pictures that they painted and such. Okay? And then I told you about the boxes in the background, the fuse charge boxes, the pallets of them. And I told you about the neighbors complaining for months before 9/11. Months. Why is there an 18-wheeler in the loading dock at 3 a.m? Why, okay, and then what else happened at the World Trade Center all that time? All right, in short, in the months leading up to 9/11, there were many employees that, to all the offices that were in both trades, all three probably, that there were fire drills and evacuation drills and muster point drills. One woman, I remember, she worked there for 30-something years at Morgan Stanley or Morgan, whatever the hell. There was only 2 ever in their entire career. But in those last few months, there was 2. Why? Because Larry Silverstein knew what they were about to do, and some of our government knew. I'm not saying President Bush knew, but a lot of folks did know that was going to happen. Why would they murder all those people, you say? So they'll have a reason to go to war. Why did they start in Iraq, instead of going to find bin Laden, which was in the mountain on dialysis? So again, nobody is in jail for 9/11. Nobody. The biggest murder of all time. Nothing. Why did they pick up the murder scene and sweep it away real quick and melt all the steel down and bring it to Japan or China, wherever the hell it was? I don't know. We need to find out. How are we going to find out? They're never going to tell us the truth. It really sucks. So this is our existence as we know it. The New World Order has begun and such, and that's what they're saying. And I know it's like a cycle again. Oh, man.